Hello everyone, my name is Vardhan and I recently went to BITS Pilani campus to present a paper at a civil engineering conference. Great experience by the way. I think if you get the opportunity, you should do it as well. Just go present papers, talk to people and visit different places. Anyways, so while I was there, they also have an ultimate frisbee team. And obviously, I could not stay away from frisbee for so long. So I went to a couple of practices there and I talked around. I was like, okay, I asked people, who are the interesting people doing interesting things on campus? And I got to talk to Naman Jain. Naman Jain has the most insane research resume that you'll see. He has published 5 papers till now, and 6 are in review. All of these are journal papers, and none of them are review papers, from what I understand. All of these are like new things that he has worked on, which is very, very impressive. For reference, a PhD requires you to write 2 papers, right? So 11 papers in undergrad. He's in his 4th year right now. He also did a research internship at NTU, which is in Singapore, one of the best universities in the world. And I think for his thesis, he went to Paris. I'm just forgetting the name of the college right now. But yeah, again, a great, great place. And he is from mechanical. He works with, CFD, and he's looking to complex flows right now. He also runs a company which got some funding for solar panel recycling. He's going to go for his master's. He's gotten accepts from 3 different places. I think Delft, uh, University of Minnesota, and then I think obviously Georgia Tech. So yeah, one of the most impressive people that I have had on. And again, like the one thing that I took away from this interview is there is no replacement for hard work and focus. When you look at the conversation, you will realize that this guy was so focused. He was so dedicated to his craft. He would get up in the morning at 4 a.m. He would make a list and he would get going. And he was so single-mindedly just focused on his goal. That was insane to see. Honestly, I was so impressed after the conversation and also so inspired. And I hope you're able to get that from this podcast. I know this is like a longer interview, longer intro. I'm sorry. I'm trying to experiment with that because some of the podcasts that I watch also have longer um, intros. So, anyways, I hope you get a lot of value from this. I hope this inspires you, and I hope you're able to understand how to balance, or actually not even balance, just go laser focused on one goal and execute like a madman. All right, here's my interview with Naman Jain. Hello, everyone. I am with Naman Jain. I am in the Pilani campus now, and he has like one of the most insane resumes and just backgrounds that I have seen. And I would have talked about that in the intro, so I'm not going to bore you again with that. But yeah, I just have a short one. Like I think it's around 10 o'clock right now, so we'll try and keep it brief. But yeah, this what's your journey been like? Tell me about the 4 years of campus, all the research, all the work that you have done. Let's go over that first.
So, thank you for bringing me on this podcast. Very happy to be here. Basically, uh, mine was a COVID batch. So, we had like 3 semesters in 2022. So, obviously, it was stressful back then. But I did have a lot of fun. First year is obviously there. It was very fast. But again, uh, cool stuff. Met new people after COVID, meeting so many bright-minded people. That was very fun. Then that time I actually took my cat's light because at first year nobody wanted to study actually. But that was probably the biggest fuck up I've ever had. But from my 2-1, I did start taking study seriously because since class 10th, I knew that I wanted to do a master's. So from 2-1, I did start to go to classes, although we do have a 0% attendance policy. But I did start to go to classes. And I actually had a friend recommend to me that if I really want to go into research, I should work with a particular professor in the mechanical department. So I approached him, and luckily he was my thermodynamics instructor. And then even in the second semester, he knew me. I stayed in contact with him, and finally, from 2-1, I started my research with him. In 2-1, I started informally, but in 2-2, I registered as a sub student under him. And since then, I started working with his research group, and I continued this journey in my 3-1, 3-2, and I also did my thesis partly under him. He was my co-supervisor, and even in my last semester, I'm working with him. So journey was quite fun. The research was quite intriguing, and since I was being exposed to new technologies and the new experimental setups, things I have never used before, the softwares. So it was kind of very intriguing, very fun.
Yeah. So, like, did you join any clubs and all, or only research?
Okay, so I was in 4 clubs. Team Bits is there. We used to, I think you know it, but still, Team Bits used to create energy efficient vehicles. So we developed vehicles running on ethanol, E90 fuel, and one was a prototype class that was built for better aerodynamic efficiency. So that was drag coefficient we managed was 0.1. So for comparison, a Tesla Model 3 has a drag coefficient of 0.19. So now, okay, and it's still considered aerodynamically more stable in the industry. So it did that. In my third year, I did lead the team that time, the chassis and the structure division. Then I was also in Inspired Cars Electric. We built the SAE cars in participated in the Formula Bharat. Um, and I was there in volunteering clubs, NSS, and there was one mechanical engineering association just for the sake of it. It was fun to actually coordinate the events in Apogee and perform some events in OSS as well, perform in different intra-college fests.
Yeah.
So that was fun as well.
That was your, like, outside of the research and all the work. But I'm not sure how much time you would have gotten into it. But, like, because I see why the 5 papers published, you're saying 6 more in the works, which is insane. Like, getting 11 things published in college life is, like, unreal. Absolutely unreal. Acha, fine. So, just so that everyone is on the same page, I know it's all complicated stuff. So, like CFD, heat transfer, PIA, and then NDU में आपने जो किया I think like metastasis of rancid drums.
That was in ENS Paris Acre.
I don't know what that is. So you have to explain that. And then the solar panel recycling. एक को just explain it simply what it is so that we know.
In my 3-1, I registered for the course NVC, New Venture Creation. There I had this idea of recycling the end of life solar panels. In India, since the solar panels are in a huge demand right now, government is even subsidizing it. So I thought maybe we should look into that sector because my research also focused more on renewable energy side and the cooling efficiencies. Yeah, in my 2-2, I wrote a paper on cooling the solar panels with the help of nanofluids and magnetic fields. So I started thinking in that direction, and finally I came up with the idea of, okay, let us start recycling. So I did my markets research and everything. So I found that in Europe and the US, similar things are being done, but in India, which is the global market right now for solar energy, nothing has been done. Only very small competitors are there. So I thought maybe we can build something on that. So from that point, we started our journey, and right now we have gotten funding for it, and we are still in the R&D stage, but still we are doing pretty well right now. So once I did my this NBC course, I started emailing professors for research internships and for thesis because I knew that by the end of my 4-1, I need to submit my master's application forms for the fall semester 2025. So I started emailing. I emailed around 230 profs, and
That's a lot of work.
yeah, that's very time consuming.
Personalized emails.
Personalized. Oh my God, yeah.
Those are the personalized emails is
And finally, I think I got 23 reply backs
some chain.
and
10%.
10%, yeah. And based on them, we finally had 3 interviews with 3 different professors, and finally there were 2 who agreed that I can work with them. So one was my professor in NTU. With him, I worked on the phase change materials and the focus on tackling the vaccine storage and the transportation of the vaccines, basically because vaccines do require a lot of energy to transport. They need a specific temperature. So using the phase change materials, like an ice is a phase change material. So using the natural phase change materials and adding some organic nanoparticles, we increase the efficiency and the time by about 40%. Cost savings were by 30% probably. It's published now, but yeah, we were able to do that. Very interesting work. Now we are also working on how we inculcate the physics-induced neural networks into our phase-change material so that we can actually predict when we recharge the BCM, and we can even check how much material is melting, and how much it is actually being useful, the efficiency and all the other parameters.
So what are like physics induced neural networks? Like how do they work? Like explain it like a 7-year-old, 15-year-old.
So I guess everyone knows in this age of AI and ML what are neural networks. You probably have heard about ANN and CNN, the convolution neural network. But physics-induced neural network is a very new field, relatively new field. So in simple terms, it is just a neural network which is based on the principles of physics. So let us say, for example, there's a simple harmonic motion. So you can either predict its motion or create a graph using the neural networks, the ANN approach, or you can directly train the model using the physics equations that we actually use. And we have seen there are a lot of papers also available that say that training a physics-induced neural network is more efficient and faster, and even the time steps are less required. Iterations are less required, and they are more efficient.
For
Reliable.
for your use case, yeah, for in general, you have seen.
Gentle. This is
Yeah.
industry. Yes.
That's insane. Okay, so that is the physics-induced neural networks.
Yeah.
What has your work with CFDs and heat transfer been?
So like I said, I started working with the professor here in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in Mat 1. His research interest was in CFD and the renewable energy and heat transfer and fluid mechanics. So I started working with him on nanofluids, and from there on, we had a lot of discussions. Where are the potential applications for the possibility of maybe having a patent or at least publishing a paper? So from there, I started my journey, and I actually thought it is a very good opportunity for me to learn because it is a fundamental problem that I am addressing, and based on that, I can create a very solid foundation for questers. Yeah, and based on that, I thought, okay, let us just start working with him, and I can definitely say that in 2.5 years, I have not been disappointed with how he works. What are the approaches? It was very cool. So when I started working with him, I was exposed to the commercial software such as ANSYS and COMSOL that are very commonly used even in aerospace and mechanical engineering domain. So based on that, we started researching. We had a solid literature gap, and how do we address it was based on nanofluids, like I said. So it was a new experience because I had to code the user-defined functions to actually define how the nanoparticle properties are being changed by the temperature and how the copine is changing and everything that. So it was a very fun experience that time. And I knew that since I'm working on this area, I can expand my research into either aerospace or automotive or anything. Like PCMs is there, passive energy storage systems are there. So anything of those sorts, I can expand my knowledge on. Based on that, actually, I started emailing the professors, and that is how I built my profile. So even in NTU also, the same thing was there. Um, the most is the same thing, like fluid mechanics is there. So everyone knows we have studied even the courses. So it was just the advanced stuff, and probably with maybe time commitment, you can understand the physics behind it. This actually working with fluid mechanics as well helped me learning a new branch. This is known as the complex flows, on which I worked in my thesis, the ENS paracyclic. Um, there also it posed quite a challenge because I was creating open source solver for myself that is catered to specifically my purpose, that is the cancer cell metastasis. So that posed a significant challenge, but again, it was very interesting. That thing has never been done before, although there are repositories available, but using new techniques such as reference map technique, which has been proposed like 2 years ago, is very fun, very noble.
Yeah, no.
To work out.
Tell me more about that, though. Actually, like that is interesting. Like it is an intersection of like two very different fields.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
So even during my master's application, I had to think a lot about how I link my energy experience. This is the experience in energy systems to how I am working in the biomedical field, the cancer cells. So I reached this conclusion that it is basically fundamentally the same thing, the fluid mechanics. So what we did is to predict the path of metastasis. We had to first read what is a cancer cell, how it is different from a red blood cell or white blood cell, and the difference in their fluid properties like the density and the nuclear size and all of that. Based on that, we configured a Y-shaped channel that can be inserted into an artery or that can mimic a biomimic an artery as well. So based on that, we channeled it, we created it, had an experimental setup built specifically for us, isolated the HUH7 liver cells in rats, and Then we let it flow through the channel for approximately 24 hours. And we were able to see from our simulations as well as the experimental setups that the cancer cells usually have lesser density and hence they segregate. And we can actually predict how that actually changes. So, although we are still working on this, inculcating some neural networks as well. But the basic principle is cancer cells have different densities, it changes a lot. So based on that, we can just use back propagation sorts, and then we can predict where the cells are actually going to be after a set period of time. Although that is still under purview, but again, it is quite interesting. Still under development, but very interesting.
That is insane, man. Like, so, wow. There's so much to unpack there. You were able to figure out, okay, cancer cells have different properties. You can test them out using rats, and you did your own simulations, and then you could correlate those with the actual observations, which is insane. I'm sure, like, when you saw that result, so like the insane खुशी हुई होगी कि but yeah, like, okay, fine. So those are, I think, the major things that you were focused on. So I think we have like an overview of क्या क्या किया है. I mean, I know कि बहुत depth में, and like the way you talk about it, I could understand कि बहुत depth में research किया है. But yeah, anyways, so like, what was the pull? Like how do you get into like CFD for especially energy specific things? Like how did that end up happening?
So in class 10th, I visited Germany for a school exchange program.
Oh,
That time, I was very intrigued by the automobile sector there because that time there was no such thing as neural networks in India, especially. We were not talking about that. So I was more intrigued towards automobiles in general. So I wanted to go into automobiles. So I researched about those topics back in class 11th and 12th at what should I actually study, what subject should I take, what degree should I take in order to get into the automobile sector. So that is how I chose mechanical engineering.
acha.
And based on that, I came to the conclusion that CFD is something that even Formula One teams or any vehicle manufacturing company, even the planes manufacturing, they use that very commonly because it is not always possible to build large scale models and test in the real life. CFD is a very reliable way to do that. And based on this, I was start finding teachers here in BITS, Pilani, where I was able to find Dr. Sohanjan Bhattacharya, with whom I started working. Although his area was not directly linked to automobile, but our applications basically changed towards how we cool the EV batteries under the vibration, or how we use magnetic baffles or some sort of turbulators. So based on that, we started researching on EV batteries.
Acha, and that's how it came to me.
Yeah.
I mean, EV battery cooling, I think, is like one very hotly debated kind of sort. I don't even say it like that. Yeah, not debated, but like research, right? Because it's very crucial, I guess, for the way it's done. So that was your interest towards the modeling. Sorry, the CFD in AI. Yeah. But then, like again, what like the like cancer metastasis? How did that come out? That was just because of the prof's focus, or something that you actually were interested
And that was because I started researching professors for my master's, and I really found out that okay, I have done work in energy, and now let us try something new. Because application of that is not just limited to cancer cells per se. We can also link that to different, and let's say droplet formation is there. I can also link that to that.
Yeah.
So that is quite easy. Plus, since both my parents are doctors,
Right.
I thought I had first-hand experiences of conversations at the dinner table, and how during COVID especially, what cases were there, everything of such sorts. So I thought maybe I'm getting an opportunity at Paris to pursue this. Maybe I should try this because it will be a new experience.
Right.
Because researching on a specific topic in the undergrad, it is quite boring. So maybe let us just try something new. Especially it was very boring for me. So I'm very happy I worked on this.
Oh, amazing. Like both of my parents are also doctors, so that was like a first thing. I was like, I haven't met that many people in bits to scale. Like both the parents are doctors. But yeah, like okay, so you have like five published papers, six papers under review. You have admits from like the top universities in the world. You have like a funded startup doing interesting things. How do you balance like the deep work that you do and entrepreneurship, leadership? You led the team as well, right?
Okay. How did those I'll start answering how I manage my schedule. So I have this very, um, I should not say strict policy, but still, I value discipline a lot. So when I knew that I wanted to work on many different things, because my CGPA was not that great. It was 7 something after first year. So I knew that I have to stand out, because I definitely won't be getting admits if my CGPA was 7 point something and I didn't have any cool projects to show or papers, research wasn't there. So I thought, okay, I need to work hard. I started doing the same thing again and again. I started maintaining uh, a particular diary, a journal, or some sorts. And then I usually wake up at 4 in the morning, because that time I find everything is very quiet. The weather is nice. I have time to meditate and gather my thoughts, write down what I have to do in that day. And I can even micromanage things, so that I can finish a lot of things during that same day. Even if not during the same day, I can finish a lot of things during a period of, let's say, 1 week or 1.5 week. Yeah. So that is how I started doing everything. Um, like I said, I started attending classes. So most of my acads was mostly sorted. Yeah. I didn't have any pressure that, okay, I don't know what happened in the class, or what is going to come in the midsem or the quiz or anything. So I just started understanding how I'm able to solve the questions, what are the methods to solve the questions. So basically just the concepts. So in the class, that was my fundamental focus. And of course, no distractions during that time. I was barely getting any time. In any time between the classes, I was going to the lab, I was performing simulations, automating more simulations there, going to the lab, building experimental setups, doing so many things. It was fun, but again, very demanding.
So you had the engineering life. Like, this is what I think an engineer's life should be like. Like, class ki beech mein you go to lab, set up the experiments, do cool shit. Like, insane, man. Like, so the schedule really helped, is what you think?
Yeah, just focusing on one thing. Like, I focused on, yes, I need to get an admit to a top university. So I started focusing on that. And yes, then everything started falling into place, that, okay, I have to reach that. So what I'll do to reach that, I just started reverse engineering. Yeah, how I'll reach there. That is how I
So,
managed everything.
like, one pressure that I think a lot of people, like, even I was considering when I was thinking of, getting up early, is if I don't stay up late with friends, I'll miss out on a bunch of time like that. So did you feel that? Like, how was your social life impacted? Do you think?
Okay, it was actually sort of impacted, because obviously I was sleeping early, waking up early, going to classes, and in the free time going to labs. But see, even in classes, I was able to talk to my friends. Yeah. Because after a certain period of time, you know how to focus on class as well, and how to talk to fit friends as well. So I did that during the classes. And obviously during the weekends, I used to chill out for some time, because I really wanted to avoid a burnout. Because if I have a burnout, I probably won't be able to work for a week or so. Yeah. So to avoid that, on Sundays, I did not do any research of any sorts. So Sundays were completely off, but from Monday to Saturday, I used to work the whole day, just going for the tutes in 8 a.m. Yeah. It was cold or hot, didn't really care. And then coming back at 10 or something, and then just sleeping at 10:30, 11. So it was impacted, yes, but probably it was good. Yeah. Right now, I don't feel, I do not regret that I could have done that more, because I know that if I did that, then probably I wouldn't be sitting here in this podcast.
No, I think you had like your vision clear. Ki this is where I want to end up. This is what I want to do. And it was like so singularly focused. Ki, karna hi hai. Yeah, there's no other way. And like, why was it so important for you to go study at like a really good university?
Okay, so um, like, again, going back to my Munich trip, it was the same thing. I was so inspired by their tech, and by the people there, and how they are working, how passionate they are. Even when I went to NTU during my summer last year, they had like very fixed schedule. They were very passionate about their work. They really wanted to explore the fundamentals there. They did not just want to finish their PhDs and just go away. They actually wanted to perform fundamental research. They were actually very interested. The culture was, I would say, sort of better than what we experience in India. Yeah. So I was very much motivated by that. Right. So that is why I thought, okay, I should actually go to a top university where people are actually very passionate about their work, and they are not just there because they just cleared an exam, but they had a profile that overhauled them as a person. So interacting with like-minded people would be so much fun. And maybe I can bring that knowledge back to India or just work there, maybe something like that.
Just want to. I think you just want to do cool shit, and this seems like the easiest way to do cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so like, okay, one thing I picked up on right now is that you're very focused, right? And I think focus is more about avoiding the things to like things not to do. So, like, what is the system of picking what to work on, what to avoid? Like, how do you prioritize things? Like, yeah.
So I read this book in which a book or an article, I do not exactly remember, or probably both were there, in which there's this graph of urgency versus the need. So that actually divides the quadrants into 4 parts, in which it says what work is very urgent but not necessary right now, what work is very much necessary but not very urgent. So I used to prioritize things based on that because everything has a priority rating.
Yeah.
So let's say if I wanted to go to dinner with my friends right now, I could just go there. But since this is not urgent, it is just necessary that yes, I have to spend time with them. I just have to go.
Yeah.
So I can probably do things that are in my list, which are categorized as more urgent right now. So the one that is more very urgent and very much necessary to do it right now, I do that first thing in the morning. I create a list every day, and I have that to-list attitude that okay, in the morning I'll create a list that these are all the objectives that I have to finish in a day. And when I come back at the night, I check my weekly list that okay, broadly I have categorized these topics, and I have done this is work of each of these. Tomorrow I have to move forward from there. So that is how I prioritize it.
So, morning my list, and then you have the matrix to
Yeah.
figure out what to put on the list where.
Yeah.
Got it. That's fine. So the thing that is the I think day to day what I'm thinking of more is also like what topics to work on, what research projects to become. How do you do that? Just I'm sure you would have gotten other options as well to work on it because I think as you do more stuff, people approach you with more things.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to work with different professors as well. But since I had researched more on how I wanted to do my master's and what actually makes a strong applicant in NMS, in NMS. So what happened is I thought, okay, let's just stick with one professor so that he at least gives me a very good recommendation letter. Plus, I really wanted to publish.
Yeah.
It has been my dream like since class 11th to publish something.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, let's just stick with one professor and we'll work even in the summer break during PS1. Also, I was working remotely with him.
Oh.
So I thought, okay, let's just stick with him, do fundamental research, get myself published because letter of recommendations can be arranged later.
Yeah.
In the courses, either if I do an internship or my thesis, I can take recommendation letters from there as well. But having a very strong recommendation letter entices you to work with one professor rather than working with several different professors. So right now in my NTSM, I am working with 2 professors, but in all these past years, I have been working with only one professor, that's Suvanchan Bhattacharya, so that I can actually perform research and do all the things that I have done.
I think that is one thing that I've seen as well. People hop from one professor to another, one topic to another, and you don't let that accumulated, like the compounded growth happen. I think you stuck with one professor for a very long time. So yeah, I think that has probably had the best returns. Acha, one more thing is okay. What is this like vaccine storage ka issue? Like, can you tell more about that? And is it like something you can actually implement? Yeah, if it is just a theory, what does it see?
Okay, so even in India, there are remote places where you cannot send medicines because the climatic conditions are too harsh. So yes, we can have this vaccine storage application that I worked on, patented.
But patent also.
No, we haven't patented yet because it is published.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we are working on something similar. We might patent something. Not sure of that, but yes, we are working on the same thing. The only thing is you can do that in remote areas for long-term transit. Let's say if you want to transport a vaccine from one end of the country to the other end, and there is like a truck is the only way, the road base is the only way, you'll require at least 4 days of power, refrigeration power, because vaccines are always transported in cold storages.
Yeah.
So To do that, we thought, okay, let us think of something cost effective, because if you use that much of energy, you are anyways adding to the carbon emissions, and the fuel also is being more utilized. So passive energy systems is something I started working in my 3-1 or the end of 2-2. There I explored a lot of options, how people actually worked on this. Um, but major things that I found out was people who are actually focused more on enhancing the melting of the face-in materials instead of just slowing it down. So we worked on slowing it down and how we can inculcate a very thorough process of the regulating the temperature and the thermodynamics of all of it. So yes, we can implement that in industry as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I hope you guys get the patent on that, honestly. Like something similar at least. We hope. Yeah, because then it will be like insane, man. Like one patent also you get through in college life. We hope. Be crazy there. Acha, tell me about the solar panel recycling. We're talking about a little bit about that before we started recording. Just tell everyone as well.
So solar panel recycling, like I said, yeah, in India, solar panels are very much subsidized. We are the largest consumers of solar panels right now, specifically the polycrystalline panels. And by 2030, it is projected that there would be approximately 34.6 metric tons of solar waste in the country. So because of that, obviously cannot just throw solar panels like we are doing right now, because they have cadmium and lead and all the poisonous materials there. Because we'll essentially be mining for more materials and we'll be polluting it again. So uh, I thought of this during my NBC class, and I said, okay, let us just segregate all these materials and create a circular economy in which we segregate the pure silicon, because that's in the highest quantity in the silicon wafer that is in the solar panel. And then based on that, we can use that in other semiconductor industries. Yeah. Because we cannot use that in the solar panels because of potential induced degradation. So once obviously all the EC and the electrical people out there, they would know about this. So we cannot use that again. But yes, we can use that in different semiconductor industries. So maybe for mobiles and uh, okay, again, semiconductor industry is in a boom right now. All the shares are there. So yes, we can use that. We can use that. It's quite possible. And even we did a profit analysis as well. So we are getting a profit of $7 per meter square of solar panels treated.
ऐसे नहीं So मतलब net positive हो जाएगा.
Yeah, we'll reach a break even there.
Awesome. I think that is one of the issues with most recycling. Like, you have to keep funding into it, put money into it because you lose money on recycling. So if you're able to actually make profit, that's great. Acha, okay. So again, I think one startup question I have. You've done research plus startups? Yeah. So what do you think misconceptions are for researchers about startups about researchers? Or do they go together? Kya scene?
In India, we do not have this concept of what we are researching about to bring it into the industry. That gap is quite huge. Uh, but I feel if I go for an MS and I develop a product, I can easily implement that product in the industry there. Because the companies are usually funding the research labs in the universities to build such products. But in India, we do not do that. There's quite a gap in there. So if there's this one misconception as well, like you said, um, people are often reluctant about doing a PhD because they feel that if you're doing a PhD, you're obviously going to become a professor.
Yeah.
But according to the world stats, and even in the US, most of the people who do their PhD end up into the industry as compared to going into the academia directly.
Yep.
So that gap has to be addressed. Maybe if we just start funding the colleges more, the companies start funding the colleges more.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can get more industry tie-ups. Yeah. And based on that, more research can be done specifically for a certain company to get it industry ready, and we can just directly launch it into the industry.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds awesome, actually. I did not think of that before. That is super, super interesting. Yeah, that is a difference. I think we don't get that much. Like, we get a lot of government funding, a lot of grants that are given to on colleges, not a lot of funding coming from companies. Yeah, that's very interesting. A little bit more on the research side now. Unlimited funding, unlimited time right now. Okay. What would you work on? Oh, yeah, what is something that not a lot of people are working on that you would work on?
have unlimited funding. So basically, I would start working on novel energy creation, because all the energy creation devices that we have, or the methods that we have, at some point they are going to exhaust.
Yeah.
Specifically the fossil fuels. But if you go to renewable energy, let us say the solar panels, make a solar panel, you have to mine a lot of silicoids there. Even for EVs, your EV industry is in a boom right now. For that, you have to mine a lot of lithium, which again causes a lot of soil degradation. People do not recognize that, but yes, mining a lot of lithium causes soil degradation.
Yep.
So that is a very big concern there. Wind has its own problems. Wind is localized to certain places only. It cannot generate a large amount of energy. Even the hydroelectric dams are also there. Same thing is there. Even we are now venturing towards green hydrogen, but uh, I'm not sure exactly how it will pan out. But whenever there is a chance of a blast per se, people are very much scared about using that technology there. Even in EVs, it is quite possible the battery bursts, but again, people are reluctant in using new technologies. So I want to generate some sort of clean energy of sorts that can power a lot of, let's say, homes or appliances together with just a small pocket-sized battery or something. So if that is there, that clean energy source is there, maybe we can solve all this energy crisis that we have right now.
Yeah, I think energy is basically the limiting factor for like civilization, right?
Yeah.
That's a one like I think people are very divided on this. I love nuclear. What is your take on nuclear? Fusion, fission, both.
Can work, but we have not reached that level of social stigma where people would accept it. We do not have nuclear reactors as capable of just distributing it in a mass.
Yeah.
So nuclear after Chernobyl or
Yeah.
the US, Japan history, people are very much reluctant to even talk about nuclear.
Yeah.
Uh, Even in the US, I figured it out that if in India I worked on something related to nuclear,
Yeah.
then while getting a visa, I'll be asked some different set of questions as compared to a normal visa applicant.
Right.
So they take it very, very seriously. But I think in CERN, probably, I do not remember, there is some lab in Europe that generated 5.6 gigajoules of energy for 30 seconds. So if we are actually able to, in a fusion reactor, if you are actually able to do that, it will be so cool. It will be the clean energy, cleanest form of energy that is possible. But again, that is still 20, 30 years away, maybe more.
Maybe more. Man, I really wish we have fusion someday, or like just I think it's such a good way to generate electricity. Yeah, I understand it requires a lot of infrastructure, so probably not everywhere we can have it. But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, across the three different institutes that you have studied at, NTU, ENS Paris, yeah, and I mean Pilani, honestly, yeah. What are the differences you see about research, academics, students? One thing you told, uske alawa?
One was, okay, the student quality is very different. In India, we just clear an exam and we come to the different institutes, we study there. Everywhere else, it is not based on that. You have a holistic review of your profile, your extracurriculars, your marks, and everything, your letter of recommendation from your teachers. So the quality of students do matter. There is this diverse spectrum of students that we encounter in different colleges. Um, in BITS, yes, the startup culture is very good. I could compare this to NTU directly, since NTU is ranked in the top 20 universities globally. So I can say this, that the entrepreneurial culture here is very nice as compared to NTU. Maybe NTU also has similar structures, but that best can be answered by an undergrad at NTU. I should say that. But in terms of research, definitely foreign institutes get a huge amount of funding. They mostly do not have concerns regarding the amount of funding they're getting from the government or the industry or from the different project grants. They do get a lot of funding, but at BITS, we do not generally get funding of that scale. We do get significant funding, but not of that scale as compared to the other institutes.
Yeah.
There's also this difference of since India is a developing country and France and Singapore are already developed. So the mentality is very different of the people there, especially in the Europe. People generally work on performing the fundamental research, boiling it down to the first principle, and then building back upon it. But in India, we do not usually do that because it takes a very large amount of time. So what we do is we read a lot of papers, we do our research, and then we build on something that did exist, but we add our changes and we modify a lot of things, and then we start building upon it. In NTU, however, since it's a East country, so East countries are usually famous for applying AI, ML, and these advanced concepts to the computation domains, computation studies directly to the literature that is already existing or the experiments that are existing. So although they do perform fundamental research, but I feel they are more towards the computation side. So I was in this research group where um, in NTU and in US they had a joint venture when I was in NTU. So they started working on something related to semiconductor and magnetics CD-ROMs, in which what they did was they were actually using phase change materials in that as well, and they were actually eliminating the redundant space that is there in the CDs. So, for example, if I buy a CD here or the hard disk, anything, some space is already devoted to the cache or systems that is there, but using their tech, the 100% of the space efficiency would be recognized for us only. So nothing would be lost. And to tell you how big that amount is, so if you notice in 512 GB hard disk or something, even in your phones, um, at least I think 460 GB is available, and all the others is not available. But using their tech, 512 GB is available.
Wow.
And that scale just grows larger as the storage increases.
Correct.
So imagine having, let's say, 10 terabytes or something of storage.
Yeah.
Then you can access the whole 10 terabytes as compared to 8.4 terabytes.
Right.
Oh, in the scale, it's very cool.
I think we require more and more storage. Like, we'll never need less storage. Yeah, we currently require. So it's going to get even more important. Wow. Okay, interesting. But now that you mentioned AI and all, how do you see AI affecting, let's say, like, I don't have a lot of knowledge about CFD at all, but like, how do you think AI is going to influence that? Like, what's happening in that space? Do you know?
In CFD. So since we are working towards and moving towards neural networks, physics-induced neural networks, there is probably going to be a stage where do not have to manually input all the parameters or create this whole model in CFD softwares, but we just have to give certain prompts at what all boundary conditions we want, and we just have to describe what setup we want, the dimensions we want, and probably the AI will input all of that into the software directly and create a model for us and then start running the simulation for us. Because I have seen there's a software, I do not remember the name, but for CADs, I think people must know about Fusion 360. So people, what you should know is there's the software. You just input a prompt, exactly what model you want, and you'll create that model. So if let's say you want to create a hex nut or something, you might take 5 minutes to create one design. But if you just enter a prompt, you generate that in either 1 minute or 30 seconds, something like that. Big so yeah, so probably it's going to affect a lot.
Well, like, I'm looking forward to that stuff, honestly. I think it's going to be really fun. Yeah. Like, I just, as as soon as like the barriers to doing stuff reduces, so much more things happen. So yeah, so many more things happen. I think even like how is like actually like GPT or some like AI tools like that impacted your college journey? Because I feel without that, my college would have been very, very different.
So in 2021, it was not there.
Yeah.
In 22 also, it was not there. I think in October 23, it was launched in India and hype was there.
Okay.
So before that, obviously, everything was the same.
Yeah.
People didn't know about it. But after that, literature review, that is a very important part of writing a research paper.
Yeah.
That became very, very easy.
Yeah.
We just have to input what papers we want on what topics, and it used to give us all the papers we wanted.
Yeah.
To explain a physical concept or mathematics behind it, we just had to write a prompt, and that could easily explain everything to us in detail. We can ask as many questions as we wanted. So this saved a lot of time, because otherwise we'll have to go to the handbooks, find the textbooks, and study more papers manually. That would take a lot of time. Yeah, so it definitely helped me in increasing my efficiency.
Yeah. I think the reducer review, I think, is the biggest thing, honestly. Yeah. And so, like, did you ever have like failed experiments or like things that did not go as planned? I mean, okay, but like, what was that experience like? Do you remember anything specific?
So in the thermal lab, I used to um, work on um, this EV battery cooling.
Hmm.
So initially we did think that okay, we can develop a setup. We'll put it in an environmental chamber. So environmental chamber is something that maintains the temperature and the humidity and everything that we want. We just put it there, and we'll put it on a vibrating shaker, and based on that, we'll get our readings and everything.
Yeah.
But the major issue was maintaining the flow rate there. Uh, Again, if we had uh, funds for a flow meter
Hmm.
that costed 15 lakh, just a flow meter,
Wow, really?
that costed 15 lakh, then we would have been able to do it. But obviously, 15 lakh for a flow meter is a lot. That was one of the major challenges. So we made a lot of changes. We changed everything, changed the design, and the whole concept was changed. But again, we did all the calculations also, but it never worked because flow rate, either it was very less or uh, it was very high, and the readings are very fluctuating. The temperature differences were there. We did insulate and everything, but the readings were just not consistent that we wanted.
Hmm.
So it did fail, but obviously when something fails, you feel that my time and effort has been wasted. Why would I even work on that? You get very demotivated. So it is important that you do not just see this as a failure, but an opportunity to learn, because now you will not be making that same mistake again. And even the cherry on the top is you learn so many new things that you would not have uh, understood or learned whenever you have started doing something new.
Yeah.
So it is more about fucking around and finding it out.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly,
Just do that. Just do that. Do not be afraid of failure.
yeah, no, you know, like I had one guy before. So Sumudit, okay, he got through GSOC and all. So he uses fuck around and find it a lot.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think that's one of my favorite philosophies that has come out in the recent past. Achha, anyways, what books, papers, thinkers, podcasts, like what media should people consume? Like what media did you consume? I know you didn't get distracted a lot, not a lot of time for this, but like kya consume karna chahiye if you want to do what you've done? For research or entrepreneurship, maybe.
So for entrepreneurship, there are a lot of newsletters and news articles are there. Just read Financial Times or New York Times, something like that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of even blogs are there now. You just have to follow the right pages. Probably you can figure that out. That is very easy. Um,
Research.
for research, I don't think I listen to anything because the podcasts don't really talk about research. And since there are PhD scholars here, I did learn from them, and especially I learned from my professor and the work ethic he used to follow, because he used to be very open and very frank with us. He just explained how he used to work during his PhD and what results he used to get based on doing a certain amount of actions.
Yeah.
So I just got inspired from him indirectly, but did not as such listen to more sources. But the only thing was being aware of what changes are in academia and what changes are there in the world. So I think I distinctly remember the date, 9th November 2023. I know that there is this company, Solar Cycle, in the US
Hmm.
that announced that they will be venturing into solar panel recycling. So I was just reading a random news article, and in that I found that. So it is very important to know that where a competitors will be, where you can expand, where is the opportunity there, where is the window of opportunity, that is a common term in entrepreneurship, that is opening or closing. You just have to understand that. And since I had entrepreneurship minor, I used to interact a lot with my teachers. I thought they had very different sources and more rich sources than me. So I used to talk about them that this is my topic, what can I do, where is the opportunity, what advancements are going on, where can I get funding for this, and everything of those sorts. But for research, I do not think I followed anything. So even if you want to venture into research, how to write research papers or how to find literature gaps, there are a lot of YouTube channels and content creators are there on LinkedIn as well. Even on Instagram, I've seen two or three people working on this. explaining students how to just start the research careers. So probably just follow them. But personally, I felt just doing it firsthand was way better as compared to listening to someone telling me to do this.
Yeah.
So I just started doing it. Just didn't overthink. Just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Acha. I think one interesting thing that I understand now is that the choice of the professor you work with is probably one of the most important things you can make.
Very important.
How can a first year coming to college figure out what professor they should work?
Okay. Firstly, if you are coming in first year, do not think about professors. You don't really care about professors in your first semester.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even care about your professors in the first semester unless you actually want to work with a professor you have dreamt of working since class 11th or 12th something.
Okay.
So if that is not the case, in first semester you can just chill, you can attend the classes, you'll understand what professor is teaching what,
Yeah.
and maybe you get intrigued by some professor. But from the second semester, if you're very serious about research, so what I did was attend the classes. So like I said, Anjan Bhattacharya was my thermodynamics tutorial instructor. So I just went to him after the class and had a brief chat that okay, I was interested in whatever you are teaching, and I want to explore further. He encouraged me that you should look at my website at BITS. BITS page is there for each and every faculty. So he encouraged me to look into that. So I saw a lot of amazing professors, and from that I was able to understand that okay, I want to work with him. Then it is actually very important to get some numbers and statistics on a professor on how much he's publishing and what is his lab culture. Is it toxic or it is just too relaxed? No work isn't going on. So to do that, go to Google Scholar and there's something known as H index or I-10 index. And recent papers also are cited on the Google Scholar. So just check that the frequency of the works he has done, is it related to my research interest or not? And usually professors write their research interest and they're very open about just emailing them and going to the chamber and just meeting them, asking about their research interest and if they have openings for SOPs or special projects next semesters. So you can just directly approach a professor. I felt that in Pilani at least, professors are very open. You can just directly go and chat with them even on an E3 or something. Then just ask them, just ask them, sir, I'm interested in working with you. When are you free? I want to meet you in your office. And he'll just say, okay, come this day at this time and I'll meet you. Then you usually discuss. At least in mechanical department, it is very chill.
Yeah.
Professors usually, uh, when you start working with them, they start gauging you, how much you actually are interested, are you serious about it or not, so that they start giving you the amount of work that you are able to handle or not handle. So with this professor that I worked with, initially I just directly told him that I have to do this. I'm very interested in it. I'm not backing out. I'm going to work with you for the next 2.5 years until my degree is completed. So I just told him that directly, and he said, "Okay, we are going to work on this right now. This is an ongoing project. You can start working on this, and we'll publish a paper, and we'll at least finish writing the first draft of the paper this semester." I said, "Okay, let us just do that." And I worked with him, and then initially and gradually, the bond strengthened, and now he's just like a close friend. So he treats as a close friend, very close colleagues. So it is just very novel. So yeah, I mean, even PhD scholars are very chill now. So it is fine. You just have to understand what the professor is talking about, how his ideology works. Also, there's this thing in Paris. I definitely thought of this. So I didn't ask the PhD scholars there, which was my mistake. But you should always ask the students in that lab what kind of a person is that professor like. So you have to understand if the professor is accommodating or not, if he respects this weekend concept is there or not, holidays is there or not, or just come where we just have to make sure of it. Otherwise, if you're not enjoying your work, you will definitely regret a lot later. So make sure of that.
Got it. Acha. Next thing, you've worked at like a higher level for a lot of things. So, like, how do you get there? Because I think, like, is there like a structure to the way you learn things? Is there a structure to way you apply it efficiently? How do you find the openings? Like, what way to attack a concept? Is there anything around that? Basically, what I'm asking is, how do you get good at so many things?
start from the fundamentals and then venture towards what you actually want to do. Just simple. Do not overthink. Just you have to be at peace with yourself that okay, I started fundamentals. I can solve majority of the questions on these topics, and now I'm moving towards my research area. Can I now apply those fundamentals to my areas? If I cannot, then I should read more research papers or book chapters or journal articles to understand that okay, now I've understood this, and finally I'm going to establish this principles on whether to use this topic or not.
Yeah, okay. Correct. Fundamentals strong karo and then figure out how you apply those. Yeah.
Because if fundamentals are weak, then probably there's no point in learning advanced stuff. That won't anyways be able to make sense.
Fair. Acha, one more interesting question I have. When you started going into the phase change for battery cooling, right? Not cooling, vaccine storage, right? So you said that, people were looking at, the evaporation or the phase change to do the temperature, like keep the temperature constant. You started looking at delaying it as well, right? So was that an insight because of deep research, or was that an insight because you have fresh perspective? And do you think, like, when you try to make new things happen, uh, is like a deep research a better way to do it, or someone coming in from some different field is like a better way to get new research?
So both.
Both.
Because research is basically just the science of understanding things.
Yeah.
So inspiration can come from anywhere, anytime. For this phase change materials, since I was working on anyways phase change materials and enhancing its melting, and read a lot of papers, and all of them dealt with enhancing the melting. I never saw a paper that says that okay, I can delay the melting. So I thought, okay, maybe I can propose this as a topic at NTU. Yeah, the professor accepted that, and then we started working there. But initially, I did not have that idea. I just thought that okay, people are increasing the melting. Yeah, then okay, they are doing it. What can I do? Just from that point, okay, the gap is there. Okay, let them do it. What will I do? But anyways, probably sit in silence or just start contemplating that okay, I can do more things. Maybe there should be something. I really want to work in this field. Then you start talking to people. Then it just instantly hits. Yep, okay, maybe we can do that. And then you start doing all the calculations and check if the papers are there or not. You do the literature survey and you check if it is actually possible or not, because you do not want to work on things that are uh, scientifically not possible, because just be a waste of time there. So again, fundamentals do work here. That is where fundamentals work. Yeah, you can use the equations to understand if that is actually possible or not. That is how I got the idea of working on delaying the melting of patient materials.
Awesome. Acha, one thing I've seen is like your friend group, people around you matter a lot. I think for you, probably it was like all of the PhD scholars and master students. But did you have like a different friend group? Like, how do you construct a good friend group to be able to do a lot of research or high level work?
Um, so that could be a very difficult question to answer, because in undergrad, most people do not do their research. Yeah, nobody wants to build a research career in the undergrad. So what I did was, since I was committed to working for my masters, I didn't actually think about if undergrads were there or not, or if PhDs were there or not. I was just adamant on the fact that I have this deadline, and I have set goals for the day. I have to achieve them. I do not care if a PhD scholar is sitting here or a master student is here or even my friend is sitting here. I have to finish my work. Yeah. So I didn't really care much about friend group at that time, because I know that anytime I can go back and I can uh, work, I can talk to my friends, I can eat dinner. I didn't do anything. But the research is something that requires focus. Yeah. So maybe I'll focus on this thing and then maybe I'll do that later. Again, the urgency was in this study graph.
Fair. And I think that's actually, I think you ran into good friends. Kyuki they're still available even though you were busy. Yeah. That's really good. Acha, one more thing is, okay, let's say you specialize, and the field changes or some like thing happens. How do you still remain adaptable? I think fundamentals being strong is one thing. Do you have any other thoughts around that?
So in the US, this is very common. So I have seen people, I've heard stories about people who have done mechanical engineering, BTech from here, and then pursued their PhD in computational engineering. So there's no such link between mechanical and computational engineering, or specifically the machine learning.
Yeah.
But I have seen a lot of people do that. So you just have to, again, like I said, do not be focused on just doing one thing, but be aware of what is actually happening in the world.
Yeah.
So if you feel that, okay, now the finance crisis, financial jobs are going to increase and my field is not going to have that much jobs or the demand, then maybe you should even check from a global perspective as well. But if you find that, okay, I cannot do that, maybe you should just start learning new skills as well, because learning new things is very interesting and as well as very refreshing as well. So just learn new things. Do not have a tubular vision of sorts. Just keep your ears open.
Got it. Acha, one question for the juniors. Every year, first, second, third, as a fourth grade, what is your advice? Ki, like, what should it ideally look for a trajectory that you were? Like, what would you, or like, ideal one? And then let's say some things that you missed that you think you should have done.
So the major concern that I had was the COVID one, basically. So having 3 semesters in 1 year, yeah, was probably the worst thing that has happened to me in my college life. So because of that, my CGPA did suffer, and I have learned that if you really want to go for a master's or maintain an 8+ CGPA, work hard in your first year, because after that it is just a concept of weights.
Yeah.
When I came here, I did not know that weighted average is something that is being followed. I got to know that in my second year when I started working on my GPA enhancement. So that is one advice. Do not fuck up your first year. Do not take it very lightly. Maintain 8.5 plus CGPA, because once you maintain that after your first year, you will feel that, okay, now even if I get an 8, my CGPA won't drop as drastically as I would have done vice versa.
Yeah.
So in my case, what I had done is till 2-1, I had this 7 point something GPA.
Yeah.
And then I know masters universities usually have very high cutoffs, 3 out of 4 or 3.3 out of 4. That translates to 8 to 8.5. So what I had to do was I had to work extremely hard and then consistently get more than 9 SGPA each semester. So if you want to avoid that, please work hard in your first year. It is very important to work hard in your first year. Um, Otherwise, you'll just have to work like me a lot. You'll just have to work a lot, which is not ideal. I do not recommend to anyone. Do not work a lot. There are easier paths. Do not work a lot. So that is there. And this is the trajectory that I followed. But ideally, maintain an 8.5, around 8.5 GPA is completely fine in the first year. In the break, you can learn new skills, you can find internships, and in your second year, you can again approach professors, check if your research interests align with them, if you really want to pursue a higher education or graduate program. And then at the end of your first year, second year, sorry, you'll have this option to do a PS1 or a summer term. So I would suggest do a PS1, because there's no harm in doing a PS1, because if you do not want to do a thesis for the masters, you can always do a PS2 and go directly into an industry.
Yeah.
But if you do a thesis, then it is very difficult to go into an industry. There's no such guarantee. Experience is always preferred more than research to want to go into industry in India. So that is why a recommendation: do not fuck up your CGPA unnecessarily. You have a lot of time, just attend the classes. Do not have to do anything more than that. Just attending a class is more than enough. You can leave one class a week, that is completely fine, but do not lag behind. Just attend classes and do whatever you want the whole day. That's completely fine. And I found it very manageable when I started doing that. That is why I was able to do so many new things.
Yeah. I think that also gives you like a good structure for your day. If you go to classes, like, yeah, I think if you don't go to class, you just sleep or you just have like some half-assed schedule. But anyways, second year वगैरह में, what should you do?
To start working on CDCs
Hmm.
in a second year. So start understanding from there. Because from there you understand what concepts you are interested in, if you're interested in mechanical or not. So focus more on concepts there.
Hmm.
Um, you also have this option to pick humanities electives and open electives as well.
Yeah.
So you have explore the option of doing a minor program. Since BITS offers a lot of minor programs, maybe just get a handbook from you can download from the internet and check if you are interested in doing a minor, because doing a minor really helps out in the bigger picture. If you do a data science minor, probably have a good shot of you going into data science companies at a more more lucrative package. So probably do that. If you're interested in finance, which most people are, you can start taking finance courses right from your 2-1. Can start with Pandafin and then move to DRM and Finman, everything that. In your third year, you can focus on research internships, and if you're going for masters, you can focus on building an application towards it, because writing a master's application takes a lot of time. It generally requires 3.5 months from scratch to the end. So if you start in August, you'll probably be able to complete all your application by November or something.
Yeah.
And most universities have deadlines on 1st December.
Acha, fine. So you have to start early.
So yeah, I would suggest the safest route is by the end of your second year during the PS1 period, be clear what you want to do. You want to go into industry or not, or even if you don't want to go into industry, you want to go for research or not, or if you want to pursue your own startup or something like that.
Yeah.
Be very clear about it. Do not fumble and change so many things that you are uh, stuck between two boats and you do not know what to do now. That is, do not do that. Have something in mind, at least. Have backup plans also, that is fine, but be sure what you want to do.
I think thoda clarity is important. Okay, one more of a nerdy question, but I think it's important. How do you structure your emails? You said you sent 230 emails, which is like a lot of emails.
Yeah.
So did you find what is a good structure for an email?
So usually I talked to a lot of seniors who had done this. So there's no such fixed template for it. It's just it is based on your profile. Your profile is very good. Maybe a poorly constructed email also gets you a lot of responses. But if your profile is not that good, you'll have to compensate that in your email structure. So usually the email is divided into 2 or 3 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you write a brief about yourself. Do not write a lot about yourself. Just mention that your name is whatever, and you are pursuing this degree from this college. Hyperlink all the colleges and important name placeholders there. Then write that specifically. You have to mention why you are writing the email in the first paragraph itself, even in the subject as well. Be very clear. Uh, in foreign people are actually very clear about why they are communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So be very clear about that. In the first paragraph, mention all that, and then in the second paragraph, you start writing that you have read these papers from the professor's lab, or the professor he has done independently, and you are interested in this, and now since you have done this research, now you can start thinking about how you can link your profile to the professor's profile or the professor's lab's profile.
Yeah.
Because if you do not show that link, it is very difficult for the professors to assume that you are actually interested or not.
Yeah.
They cannot understand. So that is why the personalization is important. Do not send a generic email template, because if you send a generic email template, it is very evident.
Yeah.
Do not use ChatGPT for that. It is very bad. For any application drafting emails, do not use ChatGPT or something. It is very clear. I think now most of us can understand if it is written by AI or not.
Yeah.
So do not use anything on
I hope this method finds you well.
Yeah, do not do that. Do not do that. Be straight to the point. Don't be too wordy. Do not exceed like 250 words in an email. 250 words is still a lot, but whatever happens, do not exceed 250 words. Fox will not read it. You'll have to make all the uh, changes in your email, whatever you do. Uh, Make sure that these are clearly reflected, and you should highlight the words, specific words like your research interests, how they are aligning with the professor research interests. Mark them in bold. Add your resume. That is 100% important. If you do not add your resume, then probably the professor won't even open the email.
Yeah.
So make sure you add your resume as a Google Drive link or something. Do not send as a PDF. Professor don't usually download the PDF. Okay. So add as a Google Drive link. And of course, towards the end, you should mention that you are available from what period of time to what period of time you would like to work with him, and if he is free for a video call or an online meeting for 15-20 minutes at his convenience. What order is fine. So just that is the general email, and do not lose hope. Professors will not reply. That's very common. He will not reply. Getting a funded admit is also very difficult. So do not lose hope. Just continuously email. One important advice is get an email tracker of sorts. There are many email trackers. Mail tracking is there. Streak is there. Lot of email tracking extensions are there in Chrome. So make sure whatever extension you are using, the professor cannot see that you are using an extension. Just send it to your friend or something. Make sure that is not visible. That way you will be able to send a reminder email after a week. And if the professor still does not respond, do not send further emails to that professor. It is very annoying for them. They're very busy. Yeah. Do not send that. Just the email tracker is just for your sanity. Yeah. That, okay, the professor has read, that he has not responded. Yeah. Maybe if he has not responded, then you send a reminder email. If he has still not responded, then so leave it. Yeah. Do not disturb the professor again. It really don't appreciate that.
You got a funded masters.
Yeah.
At 3 places. Yeah. What are the 3 places?
Okay, so I got at Georgia Tech, University of Minnesota, and TU Delhi.
Yeah. And we've read to how many cases?
I have applied 10 places, and these are the only 3 decisions I have yet to. I have gotten right.
That's so you have 7 more remaining.
Yeah,
They could 7 more cases.
yeah, could be.
What is the best? I mean, I know because you might go into one of these 3, but take it. What is the ideal one right now?
Georgia Tech, probably.
Georgia Tech?
Yes, sir. Because
So you got already, no? So
yeah, probably I go to Georgia Tech only. Might not consider Stanford or UC Berkeley because
is your brother?
I have applied to Stanford and UC Berkeley, but in Stanford I have applied for energy science and engineering, and in UC Berkeley I have applied for MS plus PhD in mechanical engineering.
Oh.
I do not think a PhD is suitable for me right now, but I always have this choice of extending my MS to a PhD.
Yeah.
So maybe if I do go to Stanford, for example, or UC Berkeley or Georgia Tech, anywhere between these 3, I might just extend my master's if I really want to do a PhD. But right now, I do not have any plans for that.
No plan for PhD.
No.
Acha, Avesh, I know we are getting late. It's 11 o'clock. I know you get a bit bored. But quick questions. Acha, how do you what do different colleges look for? And how do you pick Georgia Tech key? That was your ideal thing.
Ask your seniors first, so that you understand the college's reputability and the employability they provide.
Yeah.
In the job market, obviously, everyone wants a job right after they graduate.
Yeah.
Check for the financial constraints that are there. In Stanford, the fees is usually very high, so check for that. Then the location is important. So in the energy sector, let's say Texas is a very good option, or the Atlanta. So the hubs, you have to select the hubs where
Oh, that's one.
yeah, where you have to get a job finally. So in the Bay Area, everyone thinks of going to the Bay Areas because Stanford and Berkeley, all of who are located there, the companies are there, Silicon Valley is there. So that is there. Mostly, then you move towards the professor whom you want to work with, the student reviews of the college, the career placement unit there, and obviously in the US or in Europe as well, do not have the concept of the companies coming to college that we have in India. You just have to apply yourself. Although colleges do provide a career fair, but they do not just come for placements directly as they come in India. So these are the factors you should actually think about, but also you should major factor that you should think about is the value of money. Value for money is very, very important. So do not think like spending $150,000 on a college that is not providing you with those many opportunities. So you should think in terms of global perspective as well, the global job opportunities, because in the US you do not really know if internationals will get a job or not. So think in terms of getting a job in Europe or India or Australia or anywhere. Just think in terms of the prestige as well. You'll have to understand that.
Awesome. I know. Chalo, theek hai. Meko, I had a lot of questions because you have like an insanely amazing background. But I think we'll have to end it soon. What I'll ask is one quick last, like a little bit outside the like domains general work. What are other things that you do? I see you play the guitar. उसके अलावा क्या करते थे? What are some unexpected things that okay, नमन करता है पता नहीं.
I go for running.
Oh, you like running?
Yeah, I like running.
Amazing.
I play tennis. I play badminton. I play guitar. I sing sometimes. But I read books.
Hmm.
But mostly books I read are non-fictions. There's a book, Art of War. I really like that.
That's a good.
But sometimes maybe I read some fantasy novels as well.
Yeah.
So those books are there. I like to play. Um, so this online game, Tanky Online. I like to play those sort of games. And then I also watch tennis and Formula One. So very big enthusiast of Formula One as well. I like follow each and every headline is there or Formula One that exists. So very good profile there. That is pretty much it. So research is fun, but again, I would prefer Formula One over anything else.
So last question. What are Sundays like? Sundays are off days. What do you do on Sundays?
So I'm excluding this semester because I literally do not have many things to do.
Yeah.
But on Sundays, I do plan to sleep a lot because I sleep like 4 to 5 hours only each day.
Oh my God.
Because I do not want to develop that sort of sleep debt and not function properly. So on Saturday nights, I usually sleep on 10:30, 11, and I do not set an alarm. I just sleep and just see when I wake up. Don't really care about what's going to happen in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I do not really have any commitments on Sundays. But again, if I do have, I would wake up. But I would prefer sleeping a lot on Sundays, just relaxing, watching some series or a movie, something like that. Just chill. Read a book, listen to good songs, do something like that. Do not work because everyone needs to take some sort of breaks as well. To get burned out, and burning out is a very bad feeling. Do not do that.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll let you sleep now. Thank you so much for the time, man. Awesome. I talk to people on the on campus, and they're like, "This is your guy. If you want to talk to impressive people, go talk to Naman." And yeah, insane. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Very happy to be here.